Frazier Friday, baby. Frazier Friday. Welcome to FT. Scotty Braun, Todd Frazier, Erik Kratz on location somewhere. And we'll mix in like one or two fan questions at the top here, and then we'll take some more. So dump them into the chat throughout the show. But one asked if Kratz can reveal his magic spreadsheet of numbers from the offseason when he matched up who was going to sign for how much and then what the result was. Basically, they just want to see your homework, Kratz. So I know you don't have it right now. You're on the road. But would it be possible to at least get a sliver of that little spreadsheet?
Yes. If it is still stuck to my desk, and I say stuck to my desk because my entire spreadsheet was on a blue Post-it note. So I'm pretty sure it was still on my desk. And let's make sure this is up front. Because I only talked about 2 or 3 of the contracts that I was really close, it shows how far off I was on the other contracts. But I love that you guys called it a spreadsheet because it literally is a blue Post-it note. But when I get back, I will either put it on Twitter or we'll show it on the show here. We'll send a picture and put it on the show. It's glorious.
By spreadsheet, I mean blue piece of paper. By blue piece of paper, I mean TPS report.
Yeah, we want it all computerized. Let's go.
No, we're not doing that, and definitely not from you, Todd. I know. You can barely. You've been trying to open. You're the only person that gets a paper cut opening your email.
That's good. That's good.
I've never been stuck like that before. That was pretty good, Kratzy. A+ effort. I give it to him.
Carpal tunnel too from too much scrolling on his phone. We got to watch his fingers. Okay.
No Bronson Arroyo over here.
Let's charge the damn mound.
We're good.
Charging the mound.
Let's go Midwest and Southeast kind of too. But
Sure.
The Rays and Twins had a good one yesterday, and we're going to highlight some humans. So we'll start with Royce Lewis, who was actually on the losing team. It's a great game. Late comeback by the Twins, the home run from Jose Miranda with 1 strike to spare, 3-run jack, but then Tampa Bay wins it in extras. But let's start with Royce Lewis for a moment because he went deep as usual. Remember, he went hitless, I think, the day before, and they were asking about that, and he goes, hey, I don't do that slump thing. But wait, we'll show his whole quote. But before we do that, you want to just match up career slugging percentage? He's only played 85 games. I get it, right? But 613 to start the career, that's nice.
It's really nice.
Do you know what Barry Bonds' career slugging percentage was?
I don't want to look at my sheet here. No, I do know. Yeah,
a little
lower, 607. I mean, listen, Barry didn't come on. He hit home runs, but later in his career, he actually hit more home runs as he got older.
How'd that happen? You got the dad muscles or something?
Yeah,
or?
no.
Yeah.
When you have children,
that's what it is.
You get the baby
you
muscles
get a
back.
PED on your children.
Yeah. So, the quote here, I see the quote and I can't not but laugh. I don't know. Pete Rose even slumped. So he's the greatest hitter of all time, in my opinion. So to say something like that, those baseball guys might humble you. I get it. You're doing awesome. That's really good. I'm proud of you. I hope you keep rolling. But that quote there gets me, bro. I don't know. I've never heard anybody say that before. And if that's the case, after 85 games, you keep doing this pace, you're already set for the Hall of Fame, big doggy. So keep rolling. And the home runs are really good. 9 homers in 15 games. That is ridiculous. I give you credit all day, every day. Just be ready. Just humble just a little bit.
Okay. Well, let's hear Royce Lewis real quick, and then Kratz can comment. Go ahead, Royce.
I pride myself. I told Pop today, hey, I don't do that slump thing. That's not a real thing for me. I understand that that's a thing. Baseball's you're gonna go into a slump or whatever. But for me, I don't have that mindset. It's a new day. So to your point of, understand both. It's a new day today, and I knew there's a new pitcher. It's not the same pitchers. What am I going to do today to win each at bat? And that's where I felt like today was nice.
Golly, if he can live this, not just believe it, but live it, that's huge. That's the difference. Todd, that's the difference in hitting 212 and hitting 250, hitting 250 and hitting 290. It's the length of your slumps. When you're going good, you're so freaking good. So if he believes that he doesn't do that slump thing, and I think what he was listening to his quote, I think what he was talking about, and this is when you talk to a mental skills person, it's more of like, I don't believe in slumps. Like, I'm not in a slump. Yeah, I didn't get a hit yesterday. Yeah, I can acknowledge I didn't get a hit the day before. Today is a new day. And I always say this is why I'm a bad golfer, is because I stand over every shot and I'm like, this is the one. I know this green is really small, but I'm hitting this 4-iron flush 220. It does not matter. I am going to make it. Most of the time, it doesn't work out for me. But that is a great mindset to have, especially since Royce Lewis is my home run pick for today.
Boom. Boom.
Ooh.
There you go. Stay tuned.
And listen, I'm not trying to bash the guy either. I think that's where we get away from it. The mindset, I love his mindset. It's just you're going to slump, but it's like he goes from day to day. The sun comes up tomorrow. I'm not worried about the past. I get that. That's good stuff. Strong mind. But when you do go, 2 for 20, I want to see when he goes in something like that how his mindset will change. That's all. That's all I got from that.
Mature.
It's
mature.
Yeah, I have an example that Kratz would know because he was with him a couple weeks ago in Vegas. Kipnis said he learned from Dustin Pedroia and Pat Murphy when he was at Arizona State.
Remember hearing this? Yep.
Where they said you can't go back into the dugout and be like, dude, this pitcher is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're fucked.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
No matter what you do, you strike out. Oh man, you got lucky. Jesus Christ, he's filthy. In your mind. No, but for real, you want everybody's mindset to be the same for sure. And I think that belief by Royce is really smart. But understand that slump does happen. And listen, if it doesn't, that would be insane. But baseball has a way to humble every single person in this world.
He's been ridiculous, though, since he came back, and he's had 2 ACL surgeries already. And, this year he dealt with some injuries, right? He had the significant quad strain. He missed some time. So it's just a matter of staying on the field for him. Clearly, they did a nice job in terms of finding talent with their first overall pick, which is already, let's see, all the way back in 2017 when they took him. All right, so let's do a little more on this game because his team did lose. And there's just some other cool sound bites we got from this. So Rocco Baldelli was talking about giving players days off. Aaron Gleeman threw this tweet out there, and Baldelli looks at Justin Morneau, who works for the Twins TV crew, right?
Love Justin.
Yeah, he's great. And he's like, you ever play all 162? And Morneau goes, I played 163, referring to 2008 when they had a game 163, and he was second place for MVP. That is a flex.
He's an absolute beauty of a person, for one. Playing with him for a year, oh, he was the best with the White Sox. We had such a good time, and I can just hear him saying this, like with the way he talks and his mannerisms and stuff. Just played 162. Actually 163, but so good flex, good comeback. Can't really say anything bad about that. I mean, what do you say after that? Oh, my bad. Let's go get a drink.
You'd say they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not the same anymore.
I love it. I love any kind of flex like that. My favorite flex story like that, Todd, I don't know if you were there yet because it was Scotty Rowland. You played a little bit with Scotty Rowland, right? 1 year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But he,
did you do 1 year?
Lance Nix told me a story about how, I forget who was talking up front, and they were like, guys, defense is super important. He's like, Scotty Rowland, like veteran, like 4 gold gloves. You know what I'm talking about, right, Scotty? He goes, actually it was 5.
Yeah.
I love any kind of like humble brags where it's like, yeah, actually it was cool that you said that, but get the number right. It's like when somebody's like, oh, are you 6'3"? I'm like, actually I'm 6'5", but that's okay. Don't worry about it. What's 2 inches?
Hey, now. What was the basis? 4.5 inches now, extra?
4.5. That's your number.
What's 4.5, Kratzy? He doesn't have a comment back for it. All good.
Pleading the fifth. What are you doing, Eric? You're adjusting your set? Your fancy hotel room?
And he lost his audio.
Yeah,
that's what I thought, because when I said he would have smiled at that one.
Exactly. Cute. All right, one more thing from this game. So Pete Fairbanks in the 9th gives up the tying 3-run homer to Jose Miranda, and he's usually good for a nice soundbite. So we've got one on Pete Fairbanks for you. So let's hear from him. His team ended up winning the game anyway, 7-6. DeLuca helped him out in the 10th, but Here's Pete on doing some damage in the clubhouse.
I'll take a win.
Do we get to ask what you destroyed?
Elvis is shaking his head. It's nothing bad, Elvis. Look, let's just say that I owe the Minnesota Twins visiting Cage a new IKEA stool. Not bar stool height, like one of the mini ones that like kids use. Yeah, it's not non-existent anymore. But, you know, sometimes you got to get it all out to go out there and put up another 0. I was busy letting every bit of negative emotion out of my body in the cage. And Snide said, hey, you have to throw the next one. And I said, and I quote, so turn your sensors on. I blanked it, so I'll throw it.
Okay.
And that was that. Okay. Then I saw Phil warming up, and I was a little confused because he told me I was still in the game. And I asked Nides, am I still in this game? He said yes. He ran down the hitters, and Jose Siri made an incredible throw. I would say almost a Kevin Kiermaier-esque throw.
There we go. Okay.
If you guys want to pull up a playoff, if you guys want to pull up Game 4 from the 2021 ALDS, eerily similar.
He is such a good interview. And he did have a faux pas there. He said an IKEA stool. You're in Target Field.
Oh,
it's a Target stool.
Hey, whatever.
I think that was part of the joke.
It was, right? Yeah. He's that good that he can roll that out on the fly?
Come on. He is 100% that good. He did the whole interview on our show. He did the whole interview on our show with his I think it was his daughter, like climbing all over him and knocking stuff off the table. And he was like, hey, you know what? We're gonna roll with it.
Yeah, you're right. So it was great. And then, he comes back out, pitches the 10th. So help them win. You got any crazy breaking crap stories? Not just you. Anybody you've seen? You probably saw some buddies.
I've seen a bunch of crazy ones, people throwing stuff. But me personally, I would say me. I'm not calling anybody out. For me, I was in AAA. I was struggling. And I'm telling you, when you leave the clubhouse in Louisville, you got to walk down this ramp. And I would say it's a good 25, 30 yards to get to the dugout. Mm-hmm. When I tell you, I threw so there's a glass panel about 1 foot by 10, and then a door. And I tell you, I threw my bat down this 25-yard ramp, and it one hopped, and the next hop hit the glass panel, and glass went everywhere. Everybody ran in. And I was like trying to hide because I didn't want anybody to know. They all knew it was me. I'm like, oh my God. Now, not only am I struggling with this, now I got to pay to get this new glass panel done. And the guy came to me. I said, listen, just let me know. I'll write you a check. He's like, just do me a solid and come to this, do this kids camp. And I said, perfect, good. And we squashed it after that. But I'm like, bro, just so embarrassing. I'm like, think before you do things. Scott Rowland said it best. Drop the first F-bomb. Everything after the first one is horse cocky because you're just trying to get attention after that. And he was right. He was 100% right.
Scott, you remember the story? Remember that story I told you about breaking the window, throwing the ball?
Yes.
That was in Louisville. That was in Louisville, except I didn't hit the side window. I hit the window on the door. It's the exact same on the visiting side.
Oh, my God.
Smash she rose right into that window. I didn't pay for it, though. They did put an invoice in my locker the next day, joking around, but I didn't have to pay for it.
Okay, so now it's a full-on conspiracy theory because we have 2 random dudes who both broke glass in Louisville. That means that they have glass that just breaks like this, and they get everybody to do their kids' camps. I know it. That's the thing. They have the best kids' camp VIPs. They have the best coaches at kids' camp, and they go, oh, why are you here? Oh, you flew from L.A.? Yeah, broke a glass in 2015. Yeah, that was 2018, man.
Got him.
It's got to be it, right?
There's no way you broke the same place. You broke the same window, just the home side. That is hilarious.
Exactly. With just whoom, threw it like a helicopter, one hop, ding, bam. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yep.
That is crazy though. I did remember Kratz's story. I just obviously didn't remember where it was. No. The fact that was in Louisville too is insane. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, good to hit on the Twins and the Rays for a few. We're going to step aside for a quick moment. Some of you, others will stay right here. All right, people. FT is headed to the MLB All-Star Game this year. This is still us right here. There's only one way you should be getting tickets to any ball game. That's SeatGeek, the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. They've got you covered for all of your baseball ticket needs. Also, that can include tonight's games. You got a quick game that you'd want a ticket for tonight that you hit up SeatGeek for? Either of you?
Oh, yeah. I think Eric knows where I'm going.
Chris Sale versus Carlos Rodon, babe.
Lefty on left, played with both of them with the White Sox. So ex-teammates of mine on the same team. Rodon's been having a really good year. Chris Sale 9-2 right now. I'm going to give you a little tidbit here. DJ LeMahieu is 7 for 10 against Chris Sale with, I think it was 5 or 6 extra base hits. DJ LeMahieu tonight will get his first extra base hit of the year. Calling it.
Wow, there you go. And I'll do a quick one. Eric Fetty versus Jack Flaherty. Who do you want? Who do you want to acquire? Pick one, Kratz. You want to acquire Fetty or Flaherty?
Flaherty. I think he's more of a playoff pitcher. Fetty's an inning guy.
Nice. I like it. White Sox against the Tigers there. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek's the #1 rated ticketing app. You've got baseball season in full swing. There's concerts, festivals, the whole deal. Everything's on there. It's backed by their buyer guarantee. It's the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. And FT's got the bonus code. It's FOUL, FOUL, the promo code for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. It's $20 off your first purchase with the promo code FOUL. And make sure you click the link in the description to download the app if you're listening on the pod right now. Otherwise, I'll drop it in the chat. And you can sign up with that code even if you're not quite ready to click on the tickets yet. The discount's going to be in your account when you're ready to use it. Coming back in 10 seconds on FT. Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider, on a Friday, coming off the Rick Woodfield game, which was incredible. It was exactly as I anticipated in terms of the production value that Fox and Major League Baseball put together. So, Ken, I applaud you and the whole team there. And now give us the firsthand experience. How was it?
Well, thanks, Scott, first of all. And it was incredible. And there was a big difference between this game and the Field of Dreams games that we've done. And I believe Bob Kendrick mentioned it. Maybe it was Joe Davis. I can't recall exactly. But the Field of Dreams game was based on a reel, R-E-E-L, a movie, a reel. This was based on something that happened historically that was real, the Negro Leagues. The Negro Leagues, which were created only because Major League players would not allow people of color into their league. So there was history here. There was, of course, the passing of Willie Mays, which gave the event this incredible backdrop and poignancy and sadness, and yet it was celebratory too of Willie, of the players who came before him. And I felt just from our standpoint, Fox's standpoint, we had a deep responsibility to get it right. We could not miss with this. We had to appreciate all of the perspectives, give the history, give the complete picture, not just the baseball, but the segregation that occurred, that all of these things that happened in Birmingham. And between the pregame show and the game broadcast, I believe we did get to most of that. It wasn't necessarily a historical document of a broadcast. We were broadcasting a game, and we were celebrating the Negro Leagues and having a tribute as well. But I just felt we hit all the right notes, and I don't know that I would say that if I didn't really believe it. I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. But on this night, a night we had to be really good, I felt we honestly were.
Ken, first I have to say that I was driving during the game, so I got to listen to everything. And I thought what you did, you helped everybody connect to the human beings that had actually played on that field. So I don't know what it looked like because I was driving, but I really appreciated the way that you did the interviews with the ex-players, the pastor who had, he's been a pastor now for 50 or 60 years. I felt like you connected so well and you humanized exactly what it was. It wasn't a fictional story. It was the human aspect of it. So I really appreciate that, Ken.
No, Eric, I appreciate you saying that. And if people have not seen the clip of Reggie Jackson in the pregame show, talking about his experiences when he played in Birmingham in the minor leagues in the Oakland A system, and his searing account of what he went through, this was really not that long ago historically. We're talking about 60 years or so. And it was awful. And it was something that we have to remember, we have to appreciate happened and understand. And I just thought that perspective that he gave, it was raw and it was frankly harsh, but it was very compelling to hear his account of what happened. And then when you're talking about, Eric, with the interview I did with Reverend Bill Greason, he had a little bit of a different perspective. And I asked him, I said, hey, what was it like for you guys traveling in an era of segregation? And what he basically said was that obviously it wasn't easy, but these guys wanted to play. We love to play the game, and that's what it had to be, because that was the only way we'd get around, and that was the way the world was back then. And he wasn't saying it was right. It wasn't right, of course. But all of that had to be brought out, and it was. And Tom Verducci in his opening commentary did a great job with that. Joe Davis throughout the night. There was just a lot there. And then Bob Kendrick from the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, he's the head of it, and he is just an amazing person. He's an amazing, amazing storyteller, and just one of the most upbeat, positive people you'll ever get to meet, frankly. And he was on for a couple of innings, and the world got a view of Bob Kendrick and his storytelling ability and everything he brings with his passion for bringing these players to life and making people understand who they were and what they contributed, not just to the game, but to the country. And again, it was rather stirring. And let's not forget Willie either. The tribute to Willie and his son saying he's still here with us and showing the video of him. It was just one of those nights. And our sport can deliver that really like none other, because we have a history, good and bad. And there is a connection of generations. And all of that was kind of in play last night.
All right, Ken, one more from me on this. You always are giving your facts. You're finding facts. It's never conjecture. It's you're digging deep on the facts. So now today, I want to ask your opinion. What was your absolute favorite part of this game?
Ooh. I would say my favorite part of this game was, honestly, Eric, just being part of the broadcast. And I know I've done this a long time, but for me, it's still quite an honor, and on something like this especially, because this broadcast had meaning. This had greater meaning than just another game, and everyone around it, including the players and managers of both teams, understood that this was a special day. So simply to be there, to be in this historic 114-year-old ballpark with a wall in the back, concrete that used to be 478 feet from home plate, all of that, it was just really special to be there. So that's what I take out of it. There wasn't one moment necessarily, Eric. It was all of the moments.
All right, big dog. Hope you're doing well. I know you're doing well. I want to skip over to the Red Sox a little bit and talk about Jarren Duran. This kid, he's a special dude. I remember playing with him, USA ball in the preliminaries in Port St. Lucie. He batted second. I batted behind him. I said, man, if I had this guy in front of me, I probably would have had 400 more RBIs, just how fast he is and the way he gets to the bags. This guy's having a heck of a year. Triples galore. And the Red Sox, I mean, they're literally a game out of the wild card, a game and a half of being second place in the wild card. I feel this team's coming on strong. Their pitching's doing well. But talk a little bit about Jarren and the way he's come on. And I always said it, you give this guy a little bit of time and watch out and see what he does.
Well, it's a great story. And Duran has been open about some of his mental health struggles and his difficulties in his early years in the major leagues. And here's a kid with a world of physical talent and a hard worker, to say the least. So it has all come together for him. You mentioned the triples. He leads the majors in that. He's right up there in doubles. He is clearly headed for the All-Star team. And I'll tell you a funny story from last weekend. On the Friday night Nesson broadcast, Tristan Casas, who was injured, was on, and he was making his case for Duran as an all-star, running through all of these offensive statistics better than 90% of broadcasters could. It was really impressive. So the next day, I saw Tristan, and I said, hey, man, that was really good. And he goes, but there were 2 outs. I couldn't get to the fact he's played every game. I couldn't get to the fact he's right up there in defensive runs saved. He's here in F4 here. And I was like, whoa. But his teammates have a lot of respect for him. That's the point here. And he is a catalyst for that team. And that team, it's funny. They've had a ton of injuries, obviously. Cassis is still out. Wilyer Abreu is supposed to come back this weekend. And yet, whether it's Alex Cora, whether it's the youth and athleticism, all of this combined, they kind of have an interesting thing going on. And if you go back about a week and a half, they took 2 or 3 from the Phillies. Then they took 2 or 3 from the Yankees. Then they swept the Blue Jays. So here they are. They're in position, Todd, as you mentioned, for a wild card. I don't know that any of us thought they would be here. They're the league lead or among the league leaders in pitching categories and hitting categories. And it's going to be really interesting at the deadline because I don't believe they had any intention of buying. And now, guess what? They might have to try.
Cash monies. Hey, from one AL East team to the next, let's talk about the Yankees. You have the game this Saturday. Braves are coming into town. They got their 3 top starters going, starting off with Chris Sale, and then you got Charlie Morton versus Marcus Stroman. What are you looking for in this game? Yankees seem to be reeling a little bit. The bullpen has seemed this last 2 weeks has been struggling. Good thing Giancarlo Stanton is having a heck of a year. Judge, luckily, is back. What are you looking for in this series here with the Braves and the Yankees?
DJ LeMahieu is one guy I'm looking at. And you just mentioned him, Todd. No extra base hits this year. It's 70 plate appearances now. Now, obviously, he's coming off the foot thing. He hadn't played the whole year, and he needs some time, clearly. But remember, Rizzo's out now through the deadline. LeMahieu, I'm thinking about Todd Frazier. LeMahieu hasn't gotten going yet. And they simply need some production out of those corner spots. Now, maybe Ben Rice gives it to them, the rookie coming up. I don't know. But that's one thing I'm looking at. Bullpen, obviously, another with the Yankees. They do have some issues right now. I wouldn't even call them issues. They've just run into a little bit of a rut. And I'm interested to see how they come out of this Baltimore series because they got punched in the mouth a little bit, especially last night when Luis Gil gave it up. The Orioles didn't even pitch their best in this series. Grayson Rodriguez did not pitch. Corbin Burns did not pitch. And yet they took 2 of 3. That incredible streak of series victories within the division continues. It's at 22 now. So I'm interested to see how the Yankees come out of this. And also the other thing here is the Braves. The Braves have played better of late. Their offense has been better. I know in the last couple of games they only had 2, but overall they're starting to hit, starting to kind of show themselves. Sean Murphy had a big day the other day, finally, since coming off the IL. Austin Riley has gotten going. So I'm interested to see if that continues as well. If they keep generating positive momentum, they've got the 4th best run differential in the league, the National League. So they're clearly a good team. It's just a matter of how good.
It's going to be a great series. And I know the Braves aren't in the AL East. They're in the NL East, which is Phillies and Braves, really, whatever the Mets are going to do. But is there anything or do you have any questions that you want to ask the guys about the American League East? Because Brian Hope tweeted today, they're 2-5. The Yankees are 2-5 against the Orioles and 10-12 against the American League East and 41-14. I think, against the rest of the league. So is it the fact that they're really good, or is the rest of the league really bad in the sense that the American League East is really good and the rest of the league is kind of mid?
I don't know, Eric, that I would put much to that. And I'll tell you why for 2 reasons. One, season's not even half over yet. So it's not like it's a huge sample. And the other thing is, come October, I always think none of these things matter. Because it's a new season, things start all over again, and whatever happened during the 6 months of the regular season is largely inconsequential. So I don't believe the Yankees have a problem in the AL East. Maybe they've simply caught teams at a bad time. I'd have to look at it a little bit closer. But yeah, I'm sure they want to beat the Orioles, and I'm sure they'd like a better record in the AL East, and ultimately they're going to have to beat those teams. What's really interesting to me is this Orioles-Yankees dynamic. And I'm not talking about the hit by pitches. I could care less about that. Thought it was overblown. I'm talking about the fact that the Orioles came into Yankee Stadium, just like I was talking about before. They won 2 of 3. They do not fear any team. And you could say, well, it's the major leagues. Why would any one team fear another? But there was a time earlier in my career when I was covering the Orioles, when they'd go into Yankee Stadium, even with good teams, the old stadium, and it would be kind of intimidating to them. And this group, they hit anybody. And the question is going to be with pitching. Can they produce and find enough pitching to get through 4 rounds of a postseason or 3 if they win the division and have one of the two best records. I don't know if that's possible, but I don't know if the Yankees can do it either. So it's going to be really interesting as we go along here.
That Yankee intimidation factor now belongs to the Minnesota Twins for the past 2 decades. Sorry, Ken, it was an alley-oop. I had to dunk it home. I had to. You gave it to me, and it's still riding right now. I had to.
We got to talk. You know, the guys. Also, when we're talking about the AL East powers, we cannot ignore Cleveland. It's stunning what they've done. Now they've got huge starting pitching problems beyond the Orioles and Yankees. Basically, Bivey's their only real guy, but they've got Gavin Williams coming back at some point. I would expect they'd be active at the deadline. Their offensive transformation is one of the stories of this season. They always seem to have the platoon advantage. Quan is having this wondrous year. Josh Naylor is a star. I am so intrigued by them and what they might accomplish. I know it's AL Central, and we'll see in the playoffs, but it's been really impressive to see that franchise come around again. After an offseason, remember, guys, when we all were critical of them for not doing a whole heck of a lot.
Yep, I'll raise my hand on that. I was critical. And at the same time, now that you're playing well and you've got an opportunity, let's see what happens around the trade deadline, because it's also a team that does have assets. Like, there are prospects there. It's a decent farm system. They should be able to make some moves to, especially, kind of boost that offense, and we'll see what happens there. I got one more for you. I'll take us to the Orioles in Houston tonight. So the other side of that matchup is Jake Bloss making his MLB debut. I remember talking about him last year in the 2023 draft. So here comes another player probably rushed by the Astros, didn't get any AAA time. Do we have Spencer Arrighetti vibes because they are just running out of starting pitchers right now?
Yes, we do have those vibes. And with Verlander out and some of the others out, sure, they are in a position where they're going to have to do and are doing some unusual things. And this kid is coming up, as you said, Scott, he's right out of the draft, just about right out of the draft. So it's a little bit alarming, and sure, like Spencer Arrighetti, he might struggle. But keep in mind, too, Hunter Brown at the start of this year, and granted, he's more experienced than these guys. It's not really an apples-to-apples comparison, but he has found it for them. And he has pitched really well, I believe, his last 6 starts. So with younger pitchers, you have to obviously accept your ups and downs, and all teams do. But they're in an interesting spot, the Astros. They're 5 under still, and they really have not taken off yet. And I do not expect in any way they will be sellers. That's not Jim Crane's thing. But at what point do they look at this season and say, it's just not happening for us this year? I'm not saying we're there yet, not on June 21st, but we're getting closer to it. And it's going to be really interesting to see how they play this, because they have some interesting pieces if they want to do some things.
Oh, yeah, they'll be one of the most talked about teams if they decide to go that direction. So let's see. I mean, maybe Bloss shines. I know Arrighetti struggled towards the beginning, his first few starts especially. So we'll see what happens. But Ken, enjoy Braves Yankees this weekend. Great job again on the Rickwood Field game. It was awesome. It was really fun. Yeah, it felt like a movie, but it also was documenting real life. So thanks, Ken. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
And Ken Rosenthal, of course, has Fair Territory for us twice a week. Monday is the next show, so you can check that out. It'll get posted on YouTube, usually in the early afternoon, and then also wherever you get your podcasts. There is still an episode, of course, from yesterday, in case you didn't catch it, with Ken and Alana Rizzo. That goes over some trade conversations, too. They spent some time on the Tampa Bay Rays. I know we talked mostly Twins in that Twins-Rays talk at the top of the show, but spending some time on the Rays, I think, is important. Yandy Diaz and Randy Arozarena, could one of those dudes get moved? But what's their stock like right now? Because they haven't been hitting this year the same, especially Arozarena's really struggled with fastballs. Could they trade a couple pieces in their bullpen? So anyway, I'll let Ken and Alana handle that if you want to give it a listen. We're going to Better Than Box Scores. So, Kratz, let's double down on what Ken said. The Guardians beat Seattle again, right? So they beat him in back-to-back nights. And we'll focus on Quan, too. So he is now at 396 in 46 games. It's fun to follow the high 300s batting average. I know it's early, and he missed about a month, so you're going to get some complaints from people. He doesn't qualify yet for a batting average title, but he will as long as he stays on the field. He's already getting close. He racks up a ton of ABs at the top of the lineup there. So thoughts on Cleveland and what Quan's doing this year? Because remember, before he hit the IL for a month, he was one of the top wins above replacement players. He's looking like potentially a really sneaky MVP candidate. He looks the same since he returned.
I mean, how do you return from almost a month out and just continue to do what you're doing? Just, hey, you know what? I'm just going to keep raking. It's because he has an ability to hit that other guys don't have. And I'm not talking about other guys like mortal humans. I'm talking about other big leaguers. Like, you have Jose Ramirez on your team, and Jose's, I think he'll end up higher in the MVP voting because he hits for power, he hits for average, he drives runs in. But Quan, what he's doing, getting close to hitting 400 at any point in your career, if you hit 400 for a week, you're going to win MVP. You're going to win Player of the Week. Like, this dude's doing it through 45 games, 72 team games. Will he hit 400? No. But I can definitely see a huge difference. The thing used to be he can't hit a fastball up and in. Well, a lot of guys can't hit a fastball up and in. They just don't swing at it. The best hitters don't swing at it. And he's done a great job of not only not chasing up and in, but now he's able to put that ball in play and get hits off of it where he wasn't able to before. It's still his weakest area, but he has diminished that small area up and in that everyone's like, oh, just throw him up and in. Okay, well, that's not that easy because everybody just wants to throw a billion, and you can't get anything by him.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, this is a guy who goes up to the plate and you're watching on TV. It's like he's going to get hit. Like, you just got that feeling. There was only a couple of guys for me. Juan Francisco in the minor leagues was one for me. Every time he got up. And you remember Big One. Bro, some of the most electric batting practice you'll ever see in your life. I was on the on-deck circle for probably 3 straight years with him in the minor leagues. And I'm like, I just don't know. I just was wondering how hard he was going to hit the ball every time. But, yeah, Stephen Kwan, listen, 27 hits in 54 of his last 54 bats. That's a hit every other at bat. That is, since coming off the IL, that is absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't do that in my wildest dreams. Kratzy, you and me both couldn't do that together. So to do stuff like that, he's on pace for some incredible numbers. I hope he does it. Once he gets back in that batting title talk, the guy is just a beauty. You see him hit a home run, he's jumping up like a superhero comic guy, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
They're a fun-looking team. I mean, I guess I'm biased because Stephen Vogt is one of my really good friends, and I respect how he handled his career, how he earned everything from being a nobody in the minor leagues with the Rays to being a 2-time All-Star and doing it the whole time just the way that Stephen Vogt does it. One of the best teammates ever, and all that. And I say all that not to blow up Voters' spot, but just to say this is what he's doing to his team, and you can see it being inflected onto his team.
Yeah, it's a good call. I mean, I hope they kind of just supplement the roster a little bit, because why not? Like, they will, right?
They will, and it will be pieces that you're going to be like, I don't know, and then they're going to get the most out of them. You can't you can't just go get a Class A. They already have a Class A. They already have 2 or 3 guys that are MVPs to the first 72 games of the season. They found David Fry. He's going to fall off a little bit. Jose Ramirez is going to do exactly what he's doing. Will Brennan is hitting – Chill Will is what they called him. The dude's just – I mean, I think he had like 3 homers last night. 3 homers last year. He had 2 last night.
Yeah, it's a good call. All right, let's get to our next guest who actually can give us some insight on this team, and we'll talk about his team, of course, as well, leading their division by a lot. Josh Rojas back on FT Live right now. Josh, great to have you on, dude. Great to see you again, and look at you and the ball club really thriving right now. So let's get to some positives first. Then we'll ask you about Cleveland because I know they're really good too. But how's life in Seattle right now, and do you feel like this team is doing what it's supposed to do?
Thanks for having me, guys. But I think there's more left in the tank for sure. We haven't quite hit our stride, which is pretty cool because we're leading the division right now. But there's definitely some games we've let get away from us on the offensive end. But as the rest of the league knows, our pitching staff is scary.
Be careful out there. I don't know if they're coming for you. I don't know what's going on. No.
With
But
that shirt on, they're coming for him. They're coming for him because that shirt. He took the blinds off of his windows.
Man, Kratzy, that's rude, though. That's rude.
Fashion police.
Let me ask you this. Kratzy, you got me all twisted. You guys have been flying. I know you're in first place, but you guys have been kind of flying under the radar. Truthfully, you guys are out west. You got some guys that can hit, but it seems like you're just riding that wave. There's not one guy trying to top another. You're batting everywhere in the lineup. Dylan Moore's batting anywhere from 1 to 4 to 7 to 9. Like, you guys have come together as a group and kind of collectively said, you know what? Is this a team effort at the end of the day? Are you guys not worrying about anything or just going out there and playing?
Yeah, I think the approach right now is just take care of every at bat, and you never know which one's going to be the big one. You're just trying to pass the baton and get it to the next guy. Draw a walk. Get a leadoff hit, get a leadoff double. Do whatever you can because with the way our pitching staff's throwing right now, you could score the winning run in the second, third inning. So it's just we have this grinders mentality. It feels like on offense. We're not, as a group, we're not where we want to be, and it's just a matter of time. You guys have played the game. It's just a matter of time, and everybody clicks at the same time. And right now it feels like we get one guy hot, and then he cools off, and another guy gets hot, and then he cools off, and another guy gets hot. It's just a matter of time before the offense gets it rolling all together.
I love it. You guys are grinding together. That's what makes a team that has a huge lead in the division. But I'm going to make it because I know you've seen the show, and I tell people you got to say it with your chest. It can't be a pitcher because pitchers are not MVPs of teams. They're just really good, and they're kind of weird. That's why they play in an area where there's no grass. But who's the MVP of this team right now? Who is the guy? You have to choose one, not like who's hot right now or anything like that. You got to choose one. I need it.
I'm going to go Big Cal Rayleigh. He's he's the guy behind the plate calling the pitches. The pitchers are nasty, but they're also not shaking very much, which means Cal's been calling some really good games. He's hit some big homers for us late in games to win us some ball games. There you see it right there. He's he's the MVP for us right now, I feel like.
Is there anything that we're missing from him? Obviously, we see the stats. We see 24 RBIs in seventh inning or later. He's leading the staff. What do we not see? What do we not see as fans? Because I'm a fan of his. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's been flaking on me. He hasn't been flaking. He's at the field all the time doing all his reports. So he's being real with me. He's come on one time. He'll do it again. But what are we missing? What are we missing that you see in the clubhouse besides that big old butt?
You can't miss that one. But he's a great teammate. He's a good friend. I've grown close to him as the years gone on. But I think the thing that the fans don't see is, this guy's after the first game, this guy's pretty beat up. He's taking foul balls off of every part of his body. He's got guys throwing 100-mile-an-hour sinkers into that thumb. He's a catcher. He's a grinder. He's pretty much beat up the whole year, and he does a very good job of going out there every day and not letting anybody know that he might be going through something.
All right, so you get traded over here. You were a Diamondback. The Diamondbacks go to the World Series. We haven't had you on since they go to the World Series. I know you're going to say, my buddies are over there. That was cool. Dude, you guys missed the playoffs by a game last year. How hard was that for you? For real?
Yeah, that was tough, especially because we needed AZ just to win one game against Houston, and we can make the playoffs, and they got swept. So that was even worse. No, but it was tough. When I got traded, honestly, it felt like in Seattle I had a better chance of making the playoffs than we did in AZ, and then AZ caught a heater there in the playoffs and made a run to the World Series, and we were left watching at home. So that was tough. I wanted to be there. I wanted to make the playoffs, and then to get to watch the boys. I was excited and happy for the guys that I played with, but I definitely wanted to be there myself.
Actually, sorry, Todd. I knew I was going to interrupt you, but I got it because I've been in this situation. You going to wear that ring anywhere? You going to wear that National League Championship ring, or is it kind of like?
I got it, but I probably won't wear it too much.
So where is it? Is it going to just go? Is it just going to go in a safe or something? Or are you like, man, I
haven't decided. So they gave it to me in Seattle, so it's just sitting in my house right now, in the house I'm renting in Seattle. But when we get back to AZ, I'm sure it'll find a good spot in a man cave or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be a good. Somebody come over, you don't know, be like, what is this ring for? And you're like, yeah. Well, it's not like the most exciting thing, but at the same time, it's like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was there for half the wins.
Yeah. Hey, I don't care if it was one win. Take it and run. That's right. The best thing about our sport, though. If you play one game and you get sent down or traded, and that team ends up winning, you're getting a ring, unlike NBA and NFL. So, question for you. We want to talk a little about the defensive end, third base. Last couple years, defense has been a little up and down, going from left back to second and third a little bit. Now, to talk about me for a second, I was kind of in an odd place too when I first came up. They called me super utility, playing different spots, but the arm angles were killing me. I remember from the outfield, you got to get this long arm throw, and then you come back in infield, you kind of shorten it. I was all over the place. Talk a little bit about, the struggles you had and now the comfort that you have playing just third base.
Yeah, it's actually funny you say the arm angle thing because I never realized it. I felt like I always had all the arm angles in the bag coming up through the minor leagues, my first couple of years in the big leagues. I felt like I always had, I could throw from down here, I could throw from up here, until I started playing third base every day and really, developed, a single arm action to get the ball across the diamond. Because as you know, the sidearm throw doesn't work from third base. So it's really just about getting the good backspin carry and really getting consistency on your throws. And, the last year or two has been, it's allowed me to really develop some consistency there. And then this year I went back to the outfield for a couple games while we had some injuries. And I went to go make a couple outfield throws like I usually do. And I was like, oh man, I don't like that hurt. I'm just going to have to stick with the infield throws out here. Cause it is different. And it cost me a lot, the last couple of years with my throwing errors. Most of my errors weren't fielding; they were mostly throwing, which was so frustrating because it's usually the easier part of the play. But I've just really been working on my footwork and my arm action to be consistent and get good backspin and good carry to first base.
You said hit on this a little bit. You said it hurt. Like it hurt your accuracy, or it actually hurt your arm. You felt pain.
It was like it was like that's not. It doesn't hurt right now, but you can feel like that's going to hurt tomorrow if I keep doing that. So I just had to keep it short and short throw because in the outfield you try to be long and create some carry. And I was able to do that when I did all of them all the time, but just keeping a short arm action backspin throws to first and then trying to lengthen it out a little bit. It was like, we're not going to do that just for a couple of days.
It's for kids who are listening, for fans who are listening, this is real talk. You're showing us something that I don't think people just understand. Well, I'll just go out and throw the ball. You have to understand and be able to throw. Hey, I got to throw from here. Hey, this ball, I'm fielding it to the side. I'm coming off to the different angle. I'm planting my feet in the outfield, and I got to get extra carry on it. So I love that you hit that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
you don't hear that honesty often.
Yeah, it's the arm angle thing is crazy. I just took ground balls at short the other day for the first time all year, and I was sore for 2 days. I had some soreness in new spots for 2 days just from – the sidearm feeds, the second, the double play turns, the quick double play turns, and you're throwing it sidearm. I was sore for a couple of days after just, 1 day of ground balls at short. So you got to, when I was moving positions every day, I was able to do it. As the numbers weren't very good, but I was able to move around and fill the spot. But, being in one spot, getting some consistency, it's definitely helped me at third base.
Tell me about the Cleveland Guardians. You guys just played them. They are like nobody, including myself, guessed that one of my good friends, Stephen Vogt, would take this team to where they are. But what did you see from them? And did you see them last year? I'm not sure. I didn't look up to see if you played them last year because their offense was poor, and now they're awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we played them last year, and I mean, I wouldn't say their offense. I mean, maybe their numbers were poor, but playing them, that they got a lot of good players. You could see what they were building last year, which was they're good. They're not going to strike out. They're going to put the ball in play. They got speed to beat you. They got good defense, and obviously the pitching is good. And so then obviously this year they're kind of putting it together. They don't strike out. They put everything. It feels like they can hit every pitch you throw, and then you try to get them to chase, and then they'll draw a walk out of you. They're a good team. I played with Stephen Vogt. He's a good friend of mine as well. I saw him across it. I talked to him before, I think game 2, and was like, this has got to be a fun team to manage. And he's like, yeah, it's been fun. It's a good squad. So, we're going to have to see each other again for sure.
Let me ask you this question. Couple guys like Eugenio Suarez, to name one, they got rid of him, and their sole reason, one of the main reasons why they did, was strikeouts. And it seems like, not to beat the dead bush here all the time, but you guys have been striking out a lot, and you're still winning. So can you attest to why the strikeouts are still coming? But ultimately, you're still winning, so what does it matter? But we have to kind of talk about strikeouts a lot because there is a ton of them.
Yeah, it's tough to say the strikeouts. I for my approach personally, I hate striking out. I'm trying not to strike out. I understand that a ball in play is better than a swing and miss in certain situations. Obviously, running on first less than 2 outs, strikeout might be worth more than a double play. But most situations trying to put the ball in play. But I just think it's just a matter of how we might be getting pitched, and just figuring out the plan for it. I feel like there's waves in this game, and those waves come in how the opposing team is going to attack you. You're facing guys that have 5 days, 4 days to prepare to face you, whereas as hitters, it's one pitcher to the next, and sometimes you're getting 3-4 pitchers in one day. So these organizations and these pitching staffs, they're really smart, and they got multiple days to face you and figure out what the weaknesses are. And as hitters, it's our jobs to pick up on those plans and to attack them. And I think that's where those ups and downs in baseball come. I started out the year hot. I was getting a lot of the pitches I was looking for. And then the report kind of changed to backdoor off speed and show heaters up and show heaters in. And it was more of like a soft away attack. And then you got to adjust. And the last couple games I've been on those pitches, and then it's only a matter of time before they start going hard in on the hands and soft away again. So it's just these waves. And I think it's a matter of time before, our guys catch on to those patterns and get hot.
Talking about your offense, what's it like in the clubhouse when you come in and you find out your offensive coordinator, Brant Brown, gets fired? And then all you have is Joseph's ugly face to look at every day as he's flipping to you in the cage. What is that feeling in the clubhouse?
Yeah, it was shock at first. It was, we walked in, we got the news. Everybody was pretty shocked that there was a mid-season fire, which is crazy. But it's tough as it is to say. This business can be brutal, and I'm not. It's not my job to say why he was hired or why he was fired, but I do know that we were struggling as an offense, and the organization decided that was something they needed to do. And as players, you just accept it and you control what you can control, and you go out there and you try to compete and you try to give your best results.
What kind of hitting coach is Tommy Joseph? I played with Tommy when he first got called up. I want to have him on the show here, but he's like, I'm so busy with all this stuff that I have to do. I'm like, bro, you don't do jack. You just flip a ball. You tell the guys you're doing good. what kind of hitting coach is he? Because as a player, he was a top prospect, traded, and how does he translate that to you guys?
You know, I think Tommy has the kind of perfect job as like somebody who really, like, for me, I'm a hitting guru. I'm big on the mechanics. You know, I wasn't blessed with the bat speed and all the tools. So, you know, the mechanics of the swing are my thing. And I think if I were to be a hitting coach, it would be, you know, Tommy's spot, because he doesn't have the pressure of the hitting coach, and he's not necessarily the guy you're going to go to when you have problems, but he's always watching, and he's, like you said, he's the one flipping you. He's the one throwing BP. You know, he sees you in the cage 24/7. And so, like, for me, he was one of the reasons when it started clicking for me at the beginning of the year. He was kind of gave me one of the tips that was like really big for me. And all it was is, hey, you're starting your load a little too late. You know, he was feeding the machine to me one day, and I was fouling him off, rolling him over. And he goes, hey, I think you're just starting a little late. Why don't you just get it going a little earlier? And next thing I know, I'm on time for heaters in the game. So, you know, it's kind of that perfect scenario for hitting guys, and he's a hitting guy. He likes hitting. He understands the swing. Like you said, he was a good hitter. And so he kind of has that perfect spot where he can kind of just sit back and always keep his eyes on everybody and watch, and you know, give that key pointer when it's needed most.
Hey, Josh, over to the pitching staff just for a sec. I mean, it's not breaking news that the pitching's ridiculous, so I'm going to take a little bit of a different turn here. Is there one pitcher, you know, of the big boys in the starting rotation, let's go with them, that you would love to go deep off of, just based off the relationship? Maybe they're cocky, maybe you've become really tight with them.
One pitcher on our staff?
Yeah, that you would love to take deep, whether it's
man.
like the stuff's nasty or you feel like you can get them, or, you know, you just got that fun relationship.
Man, I would say, I mean, it'd be between Logan and Kirby, just because they're nasty. They're fun to watch from defense. And I feel like when I've seen them get clipped, it's like, oh my God, did that just happen? So I feel like as a hitter, that would be sick, because from watching on defense and watching them throw so many innings, it's surprising when somebody puts a ball in play. So I know that's probably the approach, is let's just put the ball in play. So to clip one of them would be pretty crazy.
What would you tell them, though? What kind of smack would you be like? Because eventually they're going to get traded, you're going to get traded, whatever it is. What are you going to say to them? What are you going to be like? See, I got you, or do you have a little something extra for a teammate that you clip?
Nah, yeah, you just give it a little extra look. You know, I got Gallon once, which was sick.
Nice.
I gave it a little extra look, watched it a little bit longer, but, you know, it's still baseball. He got me. I was out the next two at bat, so, you know, you can't get them every time, and you know that's coming. So you enjoy your one that you get them on, and you know that you're probably in trouble for the next couple.
All right, so last one here. I don't know if you saw what's happening with the ABS system, the challenge system. It's looking more like it's going to be the challenge system once it makes it to the big leagues. They've kind of leaned towards that in AAA. I think it's like a Tuesday to Thursday is the automated, and then it's the challenge system. How do you feel it's going to go over in the big leagues?
I've been a big proponent. Like, I want the challenge system. I don't want the automatic strike zone. I think that completely takes away the job of the catcher, which I enjoy the art of catching, even though I don't do it. But I understand when I face certain guys, they are going to be better at stealing strikes and balls. And I think that's an art. And I think we shouldn't take that away. We shouldn't just let, you know, teams just grab somebody who can hit and stick them back there because they don't really have to frame balls and strikes and make them look good. You know, there's guys in the league still that their job is to make balls look like strikes. So I like the challenge system because it's going to hold everybody accountable. I think umpires are trying to do their best behind the plate, but they don't have the ability to go during a game and look and see, like, yeah, I can tell you it's outside, but, you know, you there's no way they're just going to take our word for it and be like, oh, it's outside. Okay, I'll bring it in a little bit more. So I think for the umpires to be able to see in real time, like, oh, that's a ball off the plate. Okay, I can adjust mid-game and see it. I played in a couple minor league games with the challenge system, and I mean, the first 3 or 4 challenges I saw, the umpires were right. Like they're picturing that box in their brain so much better when they get to see it in real time than, going 9 innings without being able to make an adjustment.
I love that answer. I love that. And we're on the same page. We're hoping challenge system comes through ASAP.
Agreed.
I think for me, just on the fan entertainment side, it's going to be fun too. I just think it's going to be a fun little strategic extra add to the ballpark experience. Who gets to use the challenges, like the whole deal. We could spend a half hour on how this is all going to play out, and I think it's going to be freaking awesome. So we're excited about it. We can talk.
Yeah, I'll be nervous for sure. I'll be nervous to
you will,
to
right?
do some challenges at the beginning.
You better be right? Otherwise, like
yeah,
Julio next at bat, right? Like Julio next at bat, if they're already taken up, he's going to be like, bro, are you serious?
Yeah. And we can't let pitchers challenge. They think everything's a strike.
Oh, my gosh.
True. Very true.
Leave it to the catchers.
You're going to actually have to sit down with the pitchers and be like, guys, we're going to go over what the actual zone is, because you can't think everything's a strike, because we'll run out of our challenges in 5 seconds.
Yeah. You know what we'll need? We'll need on the – because they have like 17 different buttons that you can push. You need to catch – you need Cal to be able to push it and go, don't challenge it. So it's just like – he's like, what? Don't challenge. He's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Don't touch your hat.
Yeah. Don't challenge. You don't know what the strike zone is.
You think everything's a strike.
Yeah. They think if they hit their spot, it's a strike.
Right. Oh, he didn't move his mitt. He didn't move his glove.
It's going to be good. I'm excited. I hope they have it ready for next year. But, yeah, it looks like they're trending in that direction. We got that news earlier this week that AAA is just going to run with that full time. Usually means we're getting close. So, Josh, cool. Appreciate you, man. Always love having you on. Obviously, welcome back anytime. Love talking ball with you, and keep doing your thing. It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you. Josh Rojas, Seattle Mariners, joining us. We'll be right back. For some of you, others are staying here on FT. Okay, FT fam on YouTube. 1 in 5 Americans have learned a new language on their bucket list. As some of you have already heard, it's been on my list, working on that Spanish language game to try and be up to standards to be like Erik Kratz. So why don't you check that off your list this year with Babbel? And it could be any language, but boop. Thank you.
I was wondering.
Kratz is so serious because he knows he's the leader in the clubhouse in terms of his language learning skills.
He is.
He does.
But then they also make fun of him because he talks like this.
He does.
Como te amo. Instead of just, he doesn't have the, como te amo.
He tries really hard. So I'm going to be real with everyone. What?
That's why I'm practicing with Babbel. They know,
That's right.
You know what? Nobody likes Todd's accent, but if he had Babbel for English, he would be able to understand that big dog is not a appropriate way to
How do you say it in Spanish? How do you say it in Spanish?
Grande perro.
Hey, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó, perro? Like, what's up, dog?
Yeah, you said perro. It's perro.
Yeah, I can't do the R roll, though. That's a thing. Anyway, I'll give you the rest of this.
That's what Babbel does.
That is true. It's the science-backed language learning app that actually works. Boom. And it's designed by real people for real conversations. So the code to use here, if you want to subscribe and pay attention to Kratz's learning skills on the language department here, babbel.com/foul. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/foul, spelled BABBEL.com/foul. Rules and restrictions apply. So support the FT fam. If you want to learn a new language, this is the way to do it.
Kratzy, with the way he looks, he should do Russian.
Do it. You know it. Come on.
Hey, we're back on FT with everyone's favorite game show, the Wheel of Trade Possibilities. 3 teams today. Wheel of Doom. So you're going to concoct a trade? You're going to come up with something good for us?
I hope
You like
so.
that word?
Concoction.
I love
Yeah,
it that it's on the spot. I love it that's on the spot, and I don't know what team is going to come up. Like, if I knew what team, then I'd probably say the same rhetoric I always do. But that's why I like the wheel, because it's like, never know what I'm going to win.
That is true. So before we start, we'd like to thank our sponsor, foulterritoryshop.com, if you're looking for T-shirts, hats, wristbands, hoodies, especially, I guess, if you're in still a colder part of the country, but it's summertime. So why don't you stick with the T-shirts right now?
San Fran looks a little cold sometimes.
It is. That's
night.
true.
Yeah.
It's a little chilly out there right now. Coffee mugs, too. They work anytime. All right. Thank you, foulterritoryshop.com. And now we are ready for our first spin. Who would like to fake spin? Boom. There we go. We did it fully on the screen, too, so people can see it better. Let's start with the Houston Astros.
Wow.
This is actually one of the toughest ones to start with because you have a large contingency that wants to see them keep pushing forward. And there is still a portion, I think, of their fan base that's like, you know what, let's hit the reset button. We've had a really good run. We want to keep this going. You know, there are some fans that think they're being realistic and are like, yo, maybe this isn't our year. Starting rotations getting hit left and right. So go ahead, former Astro. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I was actually the one that came up with the trash can scheme, and because I was there in 2016. I just had really bad hearing because I hit like 120 when I was there, so I couldn't hear when they were banging on the trash can. So, no, you know what? If you're a fan and you want this team to continue to win, you want them to trade. You want them to get rid of the pieces that you cannot get back. I don't think they're bringing Presley back. Get something for him. If you know that Cole Reagans was received from for the Royals for Aroldis Chapman, to me, you can go out and find somebody even better than Cole Reagans. I get it. That was a great trade for the Royals. But Alex Presley is a better closer, actual closer, than Aroldis Chapman was last year. He meant a big deal to the Rangers, but they got Cole Reagans. Bregman, if you haven't re-signed him yet, you're not going to. Get something for him to solidify this team for next year that's still going to have Altuve, that's still going to have Pena, that's still going to have Yordan, that's still going to have Tucker in the outfield. To me, you add to that rotation, and I think Framber is a free agent. Maybe I'm misspeaking there. It just popped in my head. But you need rotation help. And if you can get rid of Presley, if you can trade Presley and Bregman and get some rotation help that will push you into next year, I love that. Maybe even go and get, and this is outside the box, go and get Fedde. Fedde signed for 2 years. Now he jumps into your rotation and he helps you get innings. And I get it, you're not giving the White Sox Bregman or Presley, but I'm saying you pick a guy like that up. Yes, he's not going to win this year for you if you're trading away other guys, but now you're getting a guy with multiple years or 2 years of control for this year and next year.
Wait, hold up. You had me. You were like singing Sweet Nothings in my ear. I was following you. And then you brought up Eric Fedde, who I love. But wait, are we buying or are we selling for Houston? Why are you picking up Fedde right now?
Because you need more than one piece. To me,
Are you trying this year? Or like, are you?
No.
This means you're going
but
for
I don't
it?
think
No.
Fedde's. No, you're not trying. But I'm saying if you pick up, I should have said like a guy like Fedde that has 2 years of control. You can get a starting pitcher. You don't have to just go and get like some double-A kid for, 3 years of your rotation. You're a team that's still in a winning mode. You're just not going to be able to win this year is how I was approaching that. Maybe I should have explained it a little bit better. But that's for the offseason, Kratz. No? You're saying because you even need to get innings through the rest of the season? I just think it would be weird. Like, you're going to trade. That would be the mixed signals that we see sometimes. Like, Boston's done it in the past where you're like, hold up. You traded for Eric Fedde, but then you dealt Bregman, Presley, and someone else? What are you doing here? I'm confused. Do you like me or you don't? No, they're in a different spot because teams that are trading away their veterans, like look at a team like the White Sox. They're going to trade away every piece that they can to win in 3 to 4 years. The Astros are not in that situation. You need to trade away the Presley, the Bregman, maybe even a Framber, whatever his
Framber's
contract
got another year, I think,
is.
by the way. I think he's
He
got
has one more.
after
Okay,
this.
so he's out. So he's out. I misspoke on that.
That's okay.
But you need to be ready. You need to be ready again next year. And I don't think because they want to re-sign Tucker, that's going to cost some money. They have put a lot of money into this current team. I don't think they're going to make huge splashes like a Corbin Burns or a Max Fried in the offseason. So to me, this is the time that you do that and you strike while other teams are trading to still build your team up for next year, because they're not going to get a starting pitcher for next season for Bregman. Like, they're not going to trade Bregman to the Mariners for Brian Wu. Like, that's not going to happen, because so you have to think outside the box, because they're not just going to get guys that are going to sit in Double-A and be ready to play in 2 or 3 years in the big leagues. Astros are going to want to win next year, even though I don't think they're going to win this year. They're going to want to win next year and the year after that.
My only counter here, though, is you don't need to do that right now, right? Like, if you're selling off your pieces, then you do that in the offseason, because it's going to cost you more at the trade deadline, because teams that are competing this year would want an Eric Fetty because you get 2 years of the playoff run with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wait until the offseason, that could be a trade, or it really could be a signing as well if you're looking for a guy that can be, you know, maybe a 3 or 4 in your rotation. You know, I'm just saying I don't think that's and I know what you're saying, like it's a Fetty type, but my point is at the trade deadline you go, are we in or are we out? And if we're in, yeah, maybe we do add a Fetty. If we're out, we trade a Bregman, a Presley, etc. You got to break up this fight. We're knocking. Todd Father's just sitting on the side, like all pretty, like, man, I don't want to get my face
I
all
wasn't
messed
jumping
up.
in. Kratzy was just took it by storm there. I don't think they should be sellers, in my opinion. If they are, there's one guy who I think undercover you guys haven't talked about who can help out anybody in their bullpen. Brian Abreu. I absolutely love this guy. He would be a good fit for a ton of ball teams, especially a team in the Northeast, as we know right now, who needs somebody in the back end to help out. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying if they have a dominant bullpen, like think about that, Abreu, Hader, Presley, wherever you want to match them up, they have the keys to do it. They just need, for one, they need to stay healthy. Their starting pitching has been on the show. When those guys are all healthy, watch out. I don't think they should be sellers.
But you're going to trade a guy that's got 3 years of control left when you're competing.
Too much control.
Too much control.
I don't like control, Eric. Okay.
You won't take Presley. I know you're Yankee shopping. You would. For also, let's be real. Yankees Astros trade probably not super likely based on those teams, you know, loving each other so much. And
I think there should be buyers, not sellers.
The Astros.
Okay,
cool. All right, let's move on to the next team. It was a good battle. Next up, give us the wheel on the entire screen so we can all see it from a distance. Beautiful.
From a distance.
You can only do the sound effect if you can roll your R's.
No.
Right. Oh, we just snuck past the Phillies. Oh, Kratz is crying.
That's Reds.
We went to Todd's Reds. What are the Reds going to do? What do you got? You got a trade possibility for the Reds? Because the thing is, this game has 2 factors to it. First, you got to decide if the team's going to be buying or selling, or if you think they should be buying or selling. And then you can start to direct yourself towards a player.
They're 8.5 out. They're last in the Central.
Yeah, but what are they on wild card right now? Like every NL team is.
They are a game and a half out in the wild. How many teams are in the wild card right now?
Would you say a game and a half?
Game and a half out of the wild card. Oh, baby. With the pitching they got me, Lodolo, Ashcraft, I mean, God, Hunter Green. God, they don't have like those veteran guys, though. That's my biggest thing with the Reds. For some reason, they don't have, Jonathan India. But, I don't think they should sell either.
I don't either.
I don't think they should sell at all. I think they're cruising along right now. They got a couple guys that are injured again. I want to see them when they're fully healthy, and then I can say whether they could be buyers or sellers, but I don't think they sell.
No, LV Marte is going to come back at some point.
Matty McClain.
Pretty soon, actually, right? No, LV Marte is coming back soon. They're already 70-something games in. He was suspended for the 80, 81.
Yeah.
He's almost back then, no? We haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
Isn't he like 10 games away from coming back?
Yeah, he's close. He's going to juice bars in Cincinnati, so, I'm sure.
Hey, he came out and said months later that he thought about it and it wasn't him. Okay? The Shaggy song. Wasn't me.
I agree with Todd. It wasn't me. I agree with Todd. I don't think they should sell. And I think they're in a sneaky, nice spot that when, the water level's out here and that some teams start fading away, I think they're going to hang around. And I say that because their starting rotation. I think their starting rotation has had their hit where it's like, oh, man, he's on the IL. And Andrew Abbott started a little late. Lodolo's had, I think, 2 stints on the IL. Hunter Green is really becoming a good pitcher, not just 106, see if you can hit it. Oh, I lasted 4 innings, but I got my 10 punch-outs. He has become a good pitcher, and his strikeouts have gone down. To me, this team might need to trade from, if Noelvi Marte comes back and he's hot for a little bit, trade from a little bit of their position player depth that has been crushed by injuries and try to get some bullpen help. I know everyone's looking for bullpen help, and I know they have Alexis Diaz, and we could be talking in 2 weeks that Alexis Diaz is that closer that they're trading to. I don't know. But to me, if this team just continues to stay the course, they're almost like that team that's like 1% better every day. By the end of the season, I bet Scott is picking them to win the first 2 rounds of the playoffs.
Whoa. Just because I love Ellie in the ball club and I wanted to pick them to win the division, but they got hit too hard early on. Yeah, maybe. You might be right. Because the rotation's there. And I was trying to look through the updates on Matt McClain because I know he spoke recently. He won't give a definitive timetable. You're coming back from a major shoulder surgery, but it does sound like he's going to be able to potentially make himself back, I think, in August or September. I got to double check this, so please don't quote me, don't aggregate me, but I got to go look and see.
Ellie needs to step up.
Yeah,
Ellie needs to step up. Just saying.
He's been quiet. He's been quiet.
I think you would agree, Todd. I mean, I get it. He's stealing bases, and he has electric moments. But if he's going to be your superstar, he needs to have a higher OPS than he has, and that's just it's showing he's still learning in the game. Look, he's 22 years old. Like I get it. I can pump the brakes, but you see a difference in Paul Skeens and his maturation and development, and Ellie's maturation and development. Completely different routes, but the same age.
True.
All right, one more spin. Who's got the R's? There we go. Stop it. Yeah. Nice.
That's green.
Yeah, that's the Bravos.
Oof. 5.5 up in the wild
card. I think they've got to sell. I just feel like they win the division every year. It's not happening this year. There's no chance they can win a World Series without Ronald Acuna Jr. You would never see that scenario. Obviously, I'm kidding. They did all of that. So outfield for sure for me, right? You gotta like try to relive the magic of what happened in 2021. You don't have to acquire 4 bats and basically redo your entire outfield in your DH slot. But 1 or 2, I think 1 or 2 would be cool and would send a message like, hey, let's just mess around and replicate 2021. It's okay that we don't have Freddie Freeman anymore, but let's try and mess around and see what we can do. In all seriousness, I mean, this team can win a World Series still. They loaded up their bullpen in the offseason. The Chris Sale trade has been beautiful for them. It has worked out so well, okay? I think there were some people that were like, watch, he's going to go to Atlanta and he's going to pitch great and he's going to stay on the mound. Yes, but to this level, I don't know if anybody saw him pitching like this. Yeah, he's been awesome. So I think for them, I mean, obviously you lost Strider too, Kratz. The dream trade deadline for me, if I'm Atlanta, is I get 1 or 2 outfield bats, preferably one that's kind of a big deal, if I can. The dream, okay? This isn't going to all happen because they actually are one of the weaker ranked farm systems. That's 1. 2 is a starter. Doesn't have to be a 1 or a 2, but I want a starter and maybe someone that I can pitch in a playoff game. Like obviously Fetty's going to be a hot number. That's a guy that I would love to slot into the rotation, especially if there's a problem, right, between Sale and Morton and Reynaldo Lopez and obviously Fried. We'll see how everyone's at when we get to October. If for some reason there was a problem with one of those dudes, I'd feel good about Fetty slotted in there. And then maybe a bullpen arm, I guess. But they know that it can be hard to find the high leverage guys. That's why they did a really nice job in the offseason of picking up guys that even some of them who have had rockier starts to the season, like the bullpen in general has a lot of talent. There's a lot of stuff in that bullpen, so I'm not too concerned about that. Thoughts?
Scott, you know who we need to ask about this? We need to ask Ross Stripling. Ross Stripling of the Oakland A's will be joining us here, and he can tell us the needs of the Atlanta Braves. Right, Ross?
No.
Well, for one, what's up, guys? But no, that's a different A. I'm not a part of that A on my hat. I got a different A on my hat, and I just missed that Atlanta trip, so I'm a little behind on my Braves knowledge. I thought what you guys were just spitting out sounded like a good plan for them, though.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, Ross. Well, then let's get to something I think you can answer. So, we like to get to some of the topics of the week with you because you're great on this stuff. So the automatic ball strike system that's been getting tested in the minor leagues took another step where the league announced that in AAA, they're just going to go with the challenge system. Pretty clear-cut indication that that's what they're preferring. We actually just spoke to Josh Rojas, who loves it and was really well-spoken about how he thinks it's going to really impact the game in a positive way. Now let's get – the only thing he did throw out there was he's like, the pitchers can't be just calling for challenges left and right because they don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, with all of that context, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad y'all talked to him. He's obviously experienced it much more than me. I'll actually be making 2 AAA rehab starts probably coming up in the next few weeks. So I believe they leave it on even for a big leaguer that's rehabbing. So I might get to experience it firsthand. And right, you do one of these guys, a little challenge.
Yep.
From talking to a lot of these young guys on the A's that have experienced it, they're unanimously in favor of that being the system that we implement, which is the challenge system. So, I definitely think that's a step in the right direction. Let's really get that one honed in and make it perfect so that when it inevitably finds its way to the big leagues, it's ready to go. Same way with kind of the pitch clock and some of the other rules we've seen in the last 2 years. They were great for the game. So I think a lot of people think that the challenge system could be another step in the right direction. Even yesterday we had one of our guys get tossed, talking about the A's, we had one of our guys get tossed in the ninth for chirping balls and strikes from the dugout in a big situation. Zach Geloff punches out on a, probably a 50-50 ball and probably be nice for Geloff to maybe throw up a challenge there and see what happens, throw another wrinkle into the game. So, long story short, I think it's on its way. So let's get the one that everyone wants, really honed in and let's bring it on.
Let's clap back a little bit at Rojas here for Josh Rojas saying that pitchers, and I agreed with him, pitchers don't know the strike. How close are you or how good are you at it when you're pitching and you're like, I thought that was a strike. And then you go back and look at it. So are you 50-50? Are you 70-30? What is it?
I'll say hitters are way better at it than I am. I'll only speak for myself, but I think I'm pretty comfortable of saying hitters are better at it than pitchers. My gosh, man, I think big leaguers know East-West as far as the plate unbelievably well. I've always been a little bit scared of the automated strike zone because I think hitters are already so good at East-West, and now it's actually going to be defined every single game. It's going to be pretty much the exact same. I think it definitely favors the hitters. I really do. But to answer your question, I'm not very good at it. You get so emotional out there. You throw a ball that's like dude, that hit white. That hit white. You're start trying, and then you go back. Now with the iPads, we can see it in the next half inning. You're like, oh, that was 2 balls off. My bad. So it's I'm not, especially breaking balls, like with my curveball, how it's so big, we're talking 18 inches of movement. You're always like, man, that had to eclipse something. No doubt that's a strike somewhere. And then you go in, you're like, oh, that was not even close. So no, I'm not great at it. But still got to chirp every now and then, try and get yourself a call if you can.
I think when you bring up the triple or when you bring up the big curveball, I remember my last triple I ever hit in the big leagues was off that big curveball. I don't mean to humble brag, but whatever. Anyway.
No, that's a humble brag. That's good. I like that.
I don't know why I just thought about that. That was in Texas. Do you remember that game or no?
I do. I remember giving up a triple to you, which I don't know how many, no.
Shameful.
And this is going to come across super super rude, but it'd be like remembering to give up a triple to like Vogelbach or somebody. It's like,
hey, listen, I'm out of here, guys. I don't even
remember that.
That's it. That's all I needed to hear. I'm done. That goes to show you the culmination of the end of my career.
Yes, Ross. No, that's exactly what everybody said about Todd. He was the poor man's Vogelbach. He was like cement shoes. You're exactly right. That's the scatter report we used to always go over with Todd.
Wow, interesting. I deserve that.
I took that too far, but I'm just saying. You remember Bobby Witt can hit a triple on a blooper, but if you give up a triple to Frazier, et cetera, that either my left fielder fell over or it was hit to the perfect spot.
No, and I gave Bellinger a chance to throw me out too, and I should have stood up at third base. But hey, whatever. It is what it is.
Stood up.
Man, that killed me. That blew me right out the water. Listen, you're a veteran now on this squad, dude. You're like the dude everybody looks up to here with the A's. Talk about the role that you got going on here. Do you ever think now, like, oh my God, I'm a veteran to every single ball player here on the team?
Man, it happened in a hurry. I remember talking to Kershaw when I was young, and at the time Kershaw would have been like in his 9th or 10th year. And even he said to my face, like, man, I don't even feel like a veteran. Like it's one of those things, you two guys can attest to it. It just kind of happens. And sometimes it's, kind of where you are on a team, such as this young team that I'm on, where Alex Wood and me are and TJ McFarland have the most service time by far. And we're still figuring out things ourselves, and yet we're thrusted in this leadership position that I've taken a lot of pride in. It's been a ton of fun. I hate where I am physically right now, where I'm hurt. I've missed the last 2 road trips. It's tough to feel like you're a part of the team when they're out there grinding, losing a lot of close games. I got walked off 3 times in the last road trip, and I'm not there to help them out or give any advice anywhere. But now they're back here, and you feel like you're back part of the team in the dugout, being with the guys, and definitely have made myself knowingly available to anybody, position player, pitcher, whoever that has anything they want to ask me, any kind of advice. I've never had a role like this, so I'm trying to go all the way into it, dive into the deep end, and help out any way I can. I may not have all the answers, but I can certainly pull from my experience and help wherever I can. This has been a frustrating year from what I understand. Last year the A's, I believe, had a historically bad run differential, right? Like they were getting blown out multiple times a week. It was very much of whoever is available in the bullpen's pitching today. And that's just how it is. You're not really scheming through a game, right? This year's different. We are losing a lot of 1-2 run games. Like I said, we just got walked off 3 times on one road trip, which is almost like equally as frustrating, right? Where you are scheming through a game, you're rolling out your bullpen, you're playing the matchup game, and you're consistently losing by 1 run. So even though it's a huge step forward and our record doesn't necessarily show it, it's also very frustrating to feel so competitive but not have necessarily anything to show for it. So a lot of these guys are frustrated, and I'm trying to help them out anywhere I can.
It's tough to put clubhouse chemistry like in a metric or like, oh, this is clubhouse chemistry. But you talked about being a leader. For myself, I was old as soon as I was drafted. So that was I was always the old guy, senior sign, all that stuff. So I never got sneaked up on trying to be the old guy in the clubhouse. I was just always the old guy. But give us an example. Give us an example, like a real life example, as far as, because we always try to talk about it, and normally it comes out in stories, but sometimes those stories can sound conceited. Can you give us one example that Ross Stripling was a leader and helped somebody out?
Yeah, of course. The one that comes to mind, and I do not want to take any credit for his success. He's a really good young pitcher. His name is Mitch Spence. He led the minor leagues in innings last year. He was the first pick of the Rule 5 draft, and he finds himself on the Oakland A's, almost for sure going to make the team. That's a kind of an intimidating place to be, but a good place to be because the odds are you're going to make the squad, right? So even in spring training, he was piggybacking me. We were on the same day, so we were always kind of around each other, throwing bullpens together. And from the start, he was really good about picking my brain. What have you done? I've only started in the minor leagues, talking about Mitch. And he was saying, if I find myself in the bullpen to start the year, what'd you do? How'd you switch up your routine? And he started the year in the bullpen. He did great. He was kind of a long guy. And then he found himself into some leverage innings. And then in one turn, Blackburn, Alex Wood, and myself go down. And all of a sudden we're down 3 starters, and we put Mitch Spence into the rotation after 6 weeks in the bullpen. And another credit to him, he comes up to me and says, all right, man, we're back. Now what do I do? I'm not necessarily built up anymore. How should I handle this? And, long story short, I kind of told him you're going to have to navigate it a little bit yourself, listen to your body, figure out a routine that works for you. I have a set routine when I'm in the bullpen, and when I flip to a starter role, that routine goes out the window, and I have a set routine when I'm a starter. And that has worked for me and other guys that I know that have tried a similar role. And to my knowledge, that's what he's doing, and it's working great. I mean, he went 7 innings yesterday against the Royals, kept us in the game. Pretty much every start he's had, I feel like he's kept us in the game. He's been a huge asset for us. I believe he's got like a 3.5 ERA. He's doing great. So once again, not taking credit by any means, but you asked for an example, and that's kind of like a perfect one. Like I've done that role a million times. That was my role for my first 7 years of my career, and that's probably the easiest one I can help with. And we happen to have a kid that needs it, and it worked out perfect.
That is so crazy, because I was thinking about you when I read the article. I think it was yesterday. It came out about Mitch Spence, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, like there couldn't be a better example. Somebody who should be a starter all the time and is like, well, you know what? You're actually going to bullpen. No, actually, you're going to start. No, you're going to bullpen. Yeah, so that's awesome that you're there for him. Does he still have his name tag from Target?
I don't even know that backstory. I got to read this article you're talking about. He worked at Target?
Yeah, about 6 months ago. Well, what are we, June now? Yeah, he was working at Target because and then he got Rule 5 out of the Yankees organization, and it's a great story. But
that's awesome.
It's something that ask him and get a picture with his name tag.
I'll read that the second we hang up. I mean, he's a humble kid. He could have easily been throwing that around that 6 months ago I was working at Target, now I'm in the big leagues. But he's just got his head down. He's working hard, and he's looking to stay in the big leagues. So that's cool that somebody captured that and put it out there, because it's it's like Dobnak or whatever, the dude for the Twins that was like driving for Uber, and then 6 months later was in the big leagues. People remember those kind of things. It's a really cool story. So I'll read that one for sure.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
My first job was in the bakery department at ShopRite. So I used to write on cakes and all that good stuff. So,
cannolis.
No.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was great. I had it in cahoots with the boss there, so I'd take my 30-minute break, would be like an hour and a half, come back with all chicken wings on my face, get eating lunch, whatever. That's a long story, but I'm on one today. I'm sorry.
I like it.
A lot of guys are coming to Oakland now, and they're getting stuff to bring back with them. Kind of unique. I don't know what they would take. Some guys, maybe some dirt, maybe try and rip off a chair seat or something. Or have you thought about what you might want to take before the season ends?
Yeah, I mean, the ongoing joke is to find one of these like baby possums that are inevitably running around somewhere, and raise it to adulthood and give it a good life. You saw Bassett is the one that you're talking about, where he dipped down and pulled some dirt as he finished the 8th inning in the Coliseum, where he's had like a 2.2 ERA in his career. It was like a Saving Private Ryan kind of moment, where in the dugout we were like, what the heck was that? I've never seen that before. He just pocketed some dirt, and then you kind of think about it, and then he obviously comments on it after the field, and you're like, actually, that was pretty cool. In the locker room, I would say we haven't really discussed it yet. I think we're kind of like day to day trying to grind through the season, and just kind of aware that this is likely in our last hurrah in the Coliseum here, and we got some guys like Paul Blackburn that have actually spent a decent amount of time here, Seth Brown, et cetera, who, probably is more meaningful that this is like where their career got off the ground and they're about to leave it. A lot of us are just, grinding through the season here, kind of coming up on the halfway point and not necessarily thinking about that too much. But when Bassett does something like that, who you can just tell is like a thoughtful, cerebral dude, and he takes the time to do something like that, kind of shows you that we're coming to an end of an era. I have a buddy that's trying to knock out all 30 stadiums. He definitely made an effort to come hit the Coliseum before it was done, and he loved it. He said it's an experience, very unique to itself, similar like the Tropicana. Like, it's certainly not going to be the most glamorous place, but it is its own place, right? And it has its own kind of failures and uniqueness to it, and he really loved it. So at the end of the day, obviously it's, sad that a huge era is coming to an end as far as just kind of Oakland sports in general here. We're the last piece.
You're such a real person, and you're kind of letting us into your life as you're coming back on rehab here soon, or coming back from rehab here soon. And nothing more real than the athletic pillow in the background. I need to find out, was that a purchase since? Yep, that one, because I'm also looking at the hoop. The hoop
Yeah.
there's a lot of dunking going on that hoop. I get that. But the pillow, did you or did your wife purchase that when you got traded? Is it a recent thing? Was it like in one of those like claw things where you just
Yeah.
and got it? What's the story on that?
It's nothing that special. We are very lucky to have a lady that has helped us find a house here. Last year I was a Giant. This year I'm a Oakland A, so I was able to stay in the same house for both seasons. She's awesome. Last year we came into a bunch of Giants gear. This year we showed up to a bunch of A's gear. That included, she just did such a good job of making this house feel like a home. Normally you're like renting furniture, staying in an apartment. It just feels like you're, it's hard to make a place your own. And this lady's really helped us with stuff like that. And then, the hoop back there, that's my 1-year-old Brody. He's just slamming in that thing all day. He loves it.
That's a great get. It's a great get. It's a good backdrop too for the segment, of course. All right, so I got 2 more for you. One is give us the injury update. Where are you at with the progression? Do you have a date circled in mind, at least as a goal?
Yeah, anytime you talk about flexor, it's in the same realm as like a oblique or a hamstring. You just can't. They don't let you do anything until you're totally asymptomatic, right? So I rested for 2 weeks, and then kind of rule of thumb is if you rest for 2 weeks, you got to build up throwing for 2 weeks before you even think about touching a slope. So that's a month right there, right? So anytime you hear flexor, man, it's just a bummer from a timeline standpoint. And then if you're a starter, the buildup is almost another month. So really I'm 2 weeks into throwing. I should be a bullpen here late this week, early next week. And then it moves fast from there, at least, pitching wise. It's not necessarily in the big leagues, but I'll go, every 5 days from there, I'll go like a 2-inning live BP and then probably 3 innings in Vegas, 4 innings in Vegas, and then hopefully back, or maybe even that last one being 5 innings in Vegas. So probably still 3+ weeks out just from a build-up standpoint, but everything feels good, which, obviously thankful for that.
We have a whole segment on here. Injuries suck. And a lot of elbow injuries, you hear it's, the flexor first, like serious elbow injuries.
Mm-hmm.
It's the flexor first. Is there validity to that, or are we just cherry picking? Oh, yeah, remember when Kyle Bradish went down and he had a flexor strain and now it's Tommy John. Is that real? Is that something that the trainers or even the doctors say, hey, we got to monitor this, or else it turns into that? Or what is that timeline, or are we just conjuring things up because we've never pitched?
Oh, man, great question. I don't necessarily think it's like a conspiracy theory. I don't think they're trying to like cover up UCL damage by saying flexor. I think when we throw baseballs so much, our flexors are very strong. So when a flexor goes, it's likely because subconsciously your body knows that your UCL is either damaged or already on the verge of getting damaged, right? And your flexor takes on more than it's used to, and then it goes. So typically when you see flexor damage, I think that it implies, now I'm not a doctor. I feel like I'm going to get some emails about this. But I would say from my experience, I've had TJ and I've had some flexor stuff in the past. I think that a lot of times if your flexor goes, like truly goes, it is taking the brunt of a UCL that's already gone, right? So it just they just kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, the second you say something, they can run through all these tests. The easy one is like put your ring finger on your temple and push your elbow towards the center of your body. And if that, if you feel anything in there, that's going to be your UCL. Other one, you can grab the front of your hat and pull straight out. Those are just like simple ones. If you feel anything in that, that's no bueno. But really I would just say they just kind of go hand in hand because they're doing so much. They're handling so much workload that if one goes, the other one takes over, and it's just a workload it's not used to, times 100 pitches, times sliders, times curveballs, etc. And I just think now a lot of people have harped on it. I did it for the first time this offseason. I threw year round, and I was working on a new pitch, that gyro slider. I threw 1 million max effort sliders in the offseason. I've never done that before. It's just a workload that catches up with you, man. And as strong and powerful as we are now and how we can work on things 365 days of the year, I think it's just kind of catching up to a lot of us. So I imagine it's a trend that's not going to necessarily go down anytime soon, which is a bummer.
All right, brother. Last one from me. I got a fan question from you from Dulcie Maris. He said, asking which pitching coaches helped you the most through your MLB career?
Gosh, great question. I mean, it's usually your first one, right? Which was Rick Honeycutt, and I joined the Dodgers at such an awesome time where Honey was in his last maybe like 3 or 4 years of his pitching career, and he was amazing at teaching you how to prepare for a big league start. And as a guy with 4 pitches, I was really always extremely stressed about how to use them, right? I think one of the worst feelings in the world is actually being 50-50 between 2 pitches. Like, oh, I got heater up here or I got slider away. And Honeycutt was really good at teaching me how to go through a lineup. You give, Freddie Freeman as much attention as you give the catcher, as you give anyone else in the lineup, and you put a good plan together. And that gives you peace of mind when you're on the mound as far as having that plan and just knowing that if you execute it, there's a very good chance that you're going to have success. And on top of that, he was old school, which, back in 2016, we weren't really all in the kind of drive line movement yet. So he could really help me get into good positions. And then he was starting to learn about the new stuff as he was kind of headed out of the game. And we hired Mark Pryor at a perfect time. So I was just like, I was in the LA at the right time, man, where we had like the old school guy that taught me how to prepare and grind through a lineup. And then you had Mark Pryor and some of the guys that the Dodgers hired behind the scenes that taught me that throwing fastballs up is my strength, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, to answer your question, it was Rick Honeycutt and just how lucky I was to have him, fresh into my big league career.
That's a cool and nice thing to say about Rick Honeycutt. But let's go back. You said Freddie Freeman and the catcher. What is that supposed to mean? There's other positions that don't hit real well. Like I feel like that was a direct hit at me. Like, did you come on the show to try to attack the FT host today?
Dude, I've done that more times. I need to stop doing that. When I first got traded over to the Blue Jays, I put my first scouting report together, and we were facing, I don't know, let's say the Red Sox, and it was like Colton Wong. And I had this huge report for each hitter, and then it got to the catcher, and I said something like strengths easy out or something like that, and I handed it to Danny Jansen, and he was like, dude, what the hell? So I need to stop dogging catchers. You guys rake too. We just faced Salvi for a 3-game series. He's hitting like 300 with a 900 OPS. So yeah, catchers rake too. That's my bad.
Boom, there you go. You feel better,
I get it.
But I'd still like to see Frazier and Vogelbach race. I'm hanging my hat on that one.
Listen, I'll beat you in a race. How about that?
Ross ain't running the bases.
Don't worry, you'll be doing this in maybe next year or the year after, hitting some fungos. I got a better fungo hit than you right now, so that's all that really matters. So.
For sure.
Yo, you're talking to the guy who dropped 20 a game in high school. UConn was recruiting him for
Yeah,
hoops.
man, come on, dog.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, no, that was uncalled for. I owe both you guys an apology. I'm sorry.
No.
No, you know what? My feelings aren't hurt. Vogelback's going to hear this. He's going to be pissed. So you be prepared for him, huh?
After the show's done in 20, he's just going to go for a really long jog around the street.
I'm going to power walk the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah. Strip, awesome catching up, dude. Yeah, there you go. You guys have it down pretty good, actually. Great catching up, dude. Get well soon. Excited to see you back on the mound, and thanks for joining us during the time here. Also, yes, let us know how it goes with Spence. Get the direct story from him on the Target stop. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Keep up the great work. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Ross Stripling with us on FT, which will be right back for some of you and others, BRB on YouTube. Unifyd Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. Unifyd Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifydhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL. No material or testimonials on the Unifyd Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System. Hey, FT fam, we announced this the other day, so we just want to remind everyone that we are going to be on the road again very soon. July 6th and 7th is the Great Big NASCAR Roadshow returning to Chicago. It's going to be awesome. You're going to have Pierzynski there. Jason Kipnis is rolling through. Alana Rizzo's taken over the hosting role. So we are going to do a special race day foul territory show on a weekend. We'll be streaming live if you're not in the area, but if you are, of course, don't miss the epic weekend. Get your tickets at NASCARchicago.com. There's the website and the QR code if you're looking at the screen right now. But you've got performances by people like the Black Keys and the Chainsmokers, or acts like them, and Keith Urban. So make sure you check out the entire, it's not just the race, the event, the concerts, the FT show, of course.
Mm-hmm.
More information at NASCARchicago.com. Coming right back with injuries suck. We got one we'll go over for a couple minutes, then we'll do our locks, and then we'll say happy Friday. I'm pretty upset about this one. Injuries do suck. Kratz, you're going to be our Brew Crew specialist here. Robert Gasser was part of the Josh Hader deal, and that was a lot of pain for the Brewers franchise, the city of Milwaukee, etc., right? The timing was tough. This is one of the bright spots from that trade that they were really excited about. And he comes up and he's like as good as can be. I mean, 5 starts, about a 2.5 ERA. Unfortunately, he's got to get Tommy John surgery, so he'll be out until basically, where are we now? 24. So basically 26 at this point. You know, you're probably not going to see him until 2026. So good sign for the future that they've got something good, but it just sucks because they really could have used him this year or next year.
It does suck. It sucks for the Brewers right now because they were already thin on starting pitching. So they're just going to have to keep doing what they do. And this is also a PSA, a little public service announcement for the rest of the league. If you have a prospect, Robert Gasser came up to the big leagues and people were like, oh, it's a small sample size. It's 2.5 years. He is a legitimate big leaguer. He proved that in his 5 games. That's all he had. Whether you think he's going to continue, doesn't matter. You can't argue that for another 1.5 years. But they gave up Robert Gasser for Hader because the Padres thought that was going to be what was going to help their team. So if you have a prospect, no matter how good you think he is, if you want to win, you have a piece that you can get for that prospect, you do it because you don't know. This game is fickle. You do not know when or if you're going to be able to throw another pitch, hit another homer, anything like that. To me, this is a prime example. Go and get that player that will help your team make the playoffs and win a World Series now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was experiencing bone spurs at the end of spring training. So it's like we talk about the flexor, we talk about around the elbow, all these different things. It seems like things like this end up leading to something significant, and it's tough. Miley's gone, Woodruff. I mean, there's some studs that they're missing right now, and it just doesn't seem too good for the Brewers as they're moving on here. Yes, this kid is an absolute beast. I can't wait to see him once he comes back again. Hopefully he's healthy and nothing else happens, but these kind of injuries will decimate and hurt a ball club.
Did you remember the return, too, from that trade? So Dinelson Lamet, and there's one other dude I'm trying to find in there, but the two main pieces of the puzzle here, Gasser looks really good. Obviously, hopefully he'll come back and look the same. Estuary Ruiz was the other piece, right? Ruiz ends up getting flipped. The Brewers somehow saw this relationship going on between the Braves and the A's with the Sean Murphy trade, and they just kind of crawled their way in. They were like, "Hey guys, you doing a deal? Can we get involved?
Yeah.
Anyone want Estuary Ruiz? Oh, we
and
can
Manny
get a little
Pena?
William Contreras back. Well, and Manny Pena, but I'm saying they end up getting William Contreras and Piamps, so they get a high leverage reliever, and they have a top 3 catcher in the sport. He's going to be an all-star this year. Who's a stud. I'm like, woo! Talk about some shrewd trades. You might want to start putting the Brewers on the same line as the Rays.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you guys want? Sorry, you're breaking up. We're not trading with you.
I talked to, and as a catcher, so I talked to one of the guys that was kind of instrumental in that trade, getting that trade done. And it was like, well, what did you see? Why do you think? He's like, what did we see? Like, this dude was already an all-star. Like, it's totally fine. But what we saw was his ability to receive high velocity pitches and get them for strikes. He was minimizing how many strikes he was getting on breaking balls. He didn't catch a lot. He was with the Braves. They had extra catching depth, and then they got Murphy. So it was like, well, we don't need him. But they saw this, and they're getting value out of that trade ridiculously, not just because of how he's hitting, but also because everybody knew that. That's how he made the All-Star team, but also how he's receiving and the way that they're getting that extra value. And they've done that. They've done that several times. They did it with Narvaez when he had coming off like a 15 or 20 home run season with Seattle. Same thing, poor receiver, but there were some metrics that really helped. So they're doing it over there.
You're right. The catching program has been well documented there. Also, the A's should have kept William Contreras because I'm just chatting with everyone in the chat right now. And they're like, Braves should have kept him. Like, Oakland should have kept William Contreras. They could have used him too. And lastly, and then we'll get to some locks. Gabe in the chat said, people hated on the Yelich trade when it first started, giving away Brinson, Monty Harrison, Diaz. I'm trying to remember Diaz's first name. Isan Diaz. And Yamamoto, but not that Yamamoto. And he said, now it looks 100% one-sided. And you're 100% correct. They got an MVP. He took some steps back for a little bit. He was hurt for a bit, right? The kneecap and a couple other things. And now, we can give him your best minute right now because he probably should be starting in the outfield in the All-Star game for the National League, shouldn't he?
He's one of the top vote getters. He might be the highest outfield vote getter if I'm not mistaken, but
he's up there. Yeah.
I could miss it. You'll find it for me. This guy has turned it around from not slumping. He's not going what Royce Lewis was talking about. He doesn't believe in slumping. He broke his kneecap. Christian Yelich should have won an MVP back-to-back years. And in September, he breaks his kneecap. And I talk about this all the time. Todd, you can attest to this. Injuries are not just, he's back on the field. He's back on. If you watch Christian Yelich's swing, he extends and locks out that front leg more than a lot of people. And he hits against such a strong front side that he broke his kneecap. Like, go down, touch your kneecap, and think about it being broken and all the things that you can't stand up straight because there's pressure on it. You can't bend it because there's pressure on it. He had to let that heal. And what that does to a guy, he was hitting. It was a one significant swing, wham, broke it. You don't just come back from it. You're a little gun shy. You're thinking, okay, am I going to do this again? It still hurts. And so he's slowly just gotten better. And now we're talking about a dude that's got a OPS over 900 on a team that is 6 games. I think with the loss last night, there's 6 games up in their division. And I think he's one of the reasons. And he goes out there and wants to play every single day. He doesn't have to lead off anymore, which I think has really helped him because last year he was leading off and he's starting to take a ton of walks. This guy, through part of the season, he was actually ahead of his MVP season in stats. So I'm interested to see what he does after he plays in the All-Star game, just like he did in 18, what he does the rest of the season.
Good call. And he's number 2 right now on that latest update for All-Star voting in the National League. It's Profar, Yelich, Tatis, Teoscar Hernandez, the top 4 that are really, in a much higher range than everyone else. But really well done. That's a good call right there. We got to clip that and put that on social. So that's a good call out for what Yelich is up to. All right, let's hit the Lion. You love that smooth jazz heading into the weekend. You love it. You love it. Free game of the day, games of the day, because we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday streaming on the BetMGM app, available to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. You've got the Blue Jays and Guardians tonight, Rays and Pirates for you tomorrow, and the Twins taking on the Oakland A's on Sunday. Those games are free $99, which means free if you've got a little money in the BetMGM app. Okay. And if you're looking on where to spend it, hopefully you didn't look at our picks last night because we went over. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't. Sorry about it. We sucked.
I'm back.
The one excuse I'll throw out there is we had barely anything to choose from. It's a bad excuse, but it's an excuse.
Milwaukee tried. Milwaukee. Did you see the end of that game? That was
of course I did. It was a great game. That was a great game. I mean, you had the Cronenworth walk-off. Rhys Hoskins tied the game late. It was some back and forth. It was an early punch from the Padres against Bryce Wilson. Just great game. Enjoyed it. All right, so let's get back on track with the leader in the clubhouse by far. Todd Father is on another planet right now, so whatever he says, I'm tailing it. I don't know what his pick is, but I'm tailing it.
I think we're going to do Papelbon first.
Papelbon first? Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Pap.
What's up, my people of FT Nation? It's your boy Parlay Pap. I'm back. Yeah, yesterday wasn't a good day. Terrible pick. I agree. I'll take onus for that. And but the best thing about it is, closers, we got the best ability to forget about yesterday and we move on to today. So I got a winner for you today. I'm obviously going against the Chicago White Sox, so I'm taking the Detroit Tigers, and I'm going to put them in a 2-game parlay with, the Tampa Bay Rays. I ain't picked them yet this year, so I figured, Pittsburgh ain't figured out a starter yet. Looks like a bullpen day, bunch of Joe Schmoes, maybe a bunch of AAA guys throwing today. And so that's my 2-game parlay. Tigers and the Rays. Let's get that cheese.
I'd love some cheese. Thanks, Pap.
Cheddar, cheese.
Good stuff, though. Good stuff, Pap, and I love the shirt, of course, too.
So I go with trends sometimes, so I follow my gut instinct as well. So for me, the Orioles have been playing really well. They got Grayson Rodriguez on the mat. I'm going them -1.5 against a young man coming up on his major league debut for the Astros. That would be Jake Bloss. I know he's good, but is he major league good right now? We will see. -1.5 Orioles at even money, 3 to win 3. So $300 coming your way.
There you go. There you go. You like the way he just smoothly gave us the Royce Lewis? Like, yeah, I don't slump. So $300 coming your way.
I love that pick, and not just because Todd's hot. I love it. I watched a little bit of Bloss, and I just feel like not enough punch outs in the minor leagues to then make your debut against the Orioles. First pitch homer, Gunnar Henderson. Welcome to the show. But I am going the same direction. I am going money line with the O's there. I'm not as bold as you, Todd, but I do love that we're having this in our FT parlay. I'm going money line, and I'm going Mariners money line. The Mariners are taking on the Marlins, and our boy Gilbert's on the mound. So let's get it.
There you go. And I'll take the Dodgers run lining the Angels. I know they're missing some key pieces, but it's a better team. The pitching matchup actually helps to not make it too crazy to get that run line for plus money. So you've got Landon Knack, who's actually coming off a nice little outing. He's not going to go deep into an outing, so you're going to get the bullpen cranking. Dodgers bullpen's been really good this year for the most part, and they're going up against an Angels team that's got Sandoval coming off an okay start. He's just been okay this season. I've always liked him stuff-wise, just not having it so far this year. I think he's got, what is he? I think his ERA is, in the 5s, north of 5. So anyway, I still got the Dodgers offense to get up for a series like this, the Freeway Series. It's at plus 110. Should I do it? Sometimes I do it. Should I do it? 200?
Sure you should.
200 to win 220? All right, we're doing it.
Why not?
200 to win 220. There's all your picks. And because we're hitting the weekend, it's the MLB Grand Slam Jackpot weekly bet and get promotion. $10 or more. You wager on any player to hit a home run on a weekend day, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. If that player hits a Grand Slam on the day that you bet on him, you can win the $50,000 daily prize or a share of the prize with every other winning bettor. Good luck, and we can give you a few selections. Todd Father, I saw yours just now. It's bold.
Yeah, plus 1,300. Again, DJ, where's my DJ? He's 7 for 10 against Sale with a couple bing bangs. Put a hundy. Let's go, baby. DJ, you getting your first extra base hit today. Sign the dotted line. Let's go.
If it's a granny, it's maybe a share of 50 G's.
Going out to everybody.
Kratz?
Oh, we all getting bonus bets. You get a bonus bet. You get a bonus bet. I mean, why not? Why not take Royce Lewis? I know I'm only getting plus 290, I think. But Royce on Sunday, he got me I put down 3 home run picks this year. He was my third one. Bang! First inning, homer. Appreciate you. And at that point on Sunday, he was at plus 450. So I love that.
Tyler O'Neill for me, playing for a contract, plus 250. I mean, we all know that's not much, but I like it tonight. Bandbox, Cincinnati, lefty, Andrew Abbott on the mound. Go for it, Tyler.
Love
All
Andrew.
right, so there's your home run picks. It is time to slap hands. Can you toss me a teaser puck, por favor? Right in front of you. There it is. There's a beaut. So these are up and available. Oh, look at Kratz bringing his teaser puck on the road. Boom. Right there. Okay. And you can also get a little discount. I'll get it away from my face. Oh, look, I'll put it right up. No, I can't do it today. Drinking before the show again. Available now at TizaEnergy.com. And also there's a promo code that you can still use for 20% off. And that promo code, of course, is FOUL for everything that we do. But this is a custom one that we put together. So if you're checking this out for the first time, you get, in our mind, the two best flavors, wintergreen and tropical, in one puck. It is not tobacco. It is not nicotine. It is what we back for the baseball world that's trying to get off dip, and just in general for energy. This is like a tea bag that can give you the oral fixation that I know many baseball players are looking for. It's stressful playing that game. Go get it. Go get it. Take those eyeballs away from Kratz. Kratz hat. Nice shirt too.
Great shirt. Great shirt. Love the colors. Pops.
Oh,
barely can see it. The Iron Pigs.
Iron Pigs.
Iron Pig. Doing it. Iron Pigs.
Give that a
little
D.
Blackout night.
Wow.
Little blackout
D.
night. Not even really team colors, but like we can get a little closer without it. Like there's some intricacies. Like I don't want to come up against an Iron Pig. If it looks like that, it's angry.
Sick of those Iron Pigs. I give that a D. It looks like my 5-year-old drew that picture on
Oh, wow. Pork roast
Hey, yo,
for dinner
say
tonight
that.
at Todd Father's.
Pork chops.
Pork chops.
And bacon.
You ain't getting bacon out of this Iron Pig. There ain't no chance. Especially with your slow feet. You ain't catching it, that's for sure. Oh, cement
I'm faster
shoes.
than you. I'm faster than you.
I'm just quoting Ross Stripling. Hey, it's not don't kill the messenger, okay? Oh, cement shoes. Oh, Albert Pujols.
Even one of our people in the background said they're sick of the Iron Pigs. I'm not going to say his or her name.
Wow. All right.
Well,
lastly, if you want to see more of these two together, if you are a member on YouTube, okay, if you pay the monthly membership, we have those special members-only videos out there, and you get to see Todd, Father, and Kratz. So there's already some AJ and Kratz content out there, and we are releasing it right after the show. Todd, Father, and Kratz. Give me one thing. What did you talk about? Don't tell me the thing, but just the topic.
Topics of intricacies of baseball, about some of the things that happened while we played, that, some favorite kind of team moments and stuff like that, stuff that
Gifts.
you're going to want to see. And gifts.
Gifts.
I
like
Talk
that.
about gifts. Not
cooler
GIF. Not GIF. GIFTS. Gifts.
Wow, the old school gifts. And you
Pretty
get the
nice.
emojis in the chat if you're doing that too. And we have a big announcement on Monday, and whatever we're announcing on Monday is also happening on Monday. There's your clue. Good luck. I really don't think anyone's going to guess this one, but you're going to like it. It's cool. It's rising the FT tide. See you then.
And for the person in the background who doesn't like the Iron Pigs hats or Rail Riders, I'm wearing them all the time just for you now.
Every day.
Ooh.